Welcome back to the Unwritten Rule. Today is Thursday evening or Friday morning, depending on when you're watching this. It will be uploaded Thursday night because it's our reaction to the Mizzou game. Mizzou's season's over. Mizzou lost by 10, 67-57 to Drake. We're recording this probably half an hour after the game ended. We'll try and get some. We're going to see what Dennis says. We'll keep an eye on Twitter for any quotes to talk about as well. So just for that in mind, for the timeline there, hard to find words. This is one of the tougher shows I think we've done after a loss. Payton, not an easy one to talk about. Mizzou lost to Drake. It didn't, the words I keep coming back to are the disappointed, not surprised, more like really angry, not surprised, because Mizzou lost. Drake's a good team, but man, this was a pretty irritating game to watch from start to finish. We'll get into, we can take things one at a time, but just, your opening thoughts, if you can find the words. I know it's, Payton rightfully so was like, I need a couple minutes before we jump on here. And yeah, this was a tough one, Payton. This one's going to sting for a long time. Mizzou's season's over.
I know you used disappointed, not surprised. I'll be honest, I'm pretty damn surprised. I think everyone should be surprised. This is supposed to be a team in the SEC, correct? I mean, they just played a Missouri Valley Conference team that is full of fucking Division II players up and down. And they not only lost, they were outplayed pretty much wire to wire. Missouri kind of got off to the start they would have wanted. They got a foul on starts within the first 10 seconds and got to the line. Drake really did not handle Missouri's defense well early. And then for some reason, out come Trent Pierce and Jacob Cruz at the same time. There goes an 8-0 Drake run. Missouri never takes the lead ever again. It's pretty damn embarrassing when you consider where this team was just a few weeks ago after Alabama. I really think that people genuinely, it wasn't just me or any other Mizzou fans. People were like, this is like a dark horse Final Four contender. This is like a team that's good at everything. And then teams adjust. Missouri never seems to adjust back. They go 2-6 to end the year. One of those wins is against South Carolina, so it hardly counts. And the other is against another team that was really struggling going into Mississippi State. In spite of all that, you still get a 6 seed. You still get to Wichita, where your fans all drive and make it pretty much a quasi-home game. And you're just, it was really something to watch, I'll be honest. Look, credit to Ben McCollum, credit to Drake. That is a good team over there, 100%. I still think it is not unreasonable to think that Missouri, considering the athlete advantage, considering the fact that Drake had a decent non-con. They beat real teams in the non-con slate. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Miami, Miami was terrible, but Miami is a real team. Then they didn't play this team. This Drake team was taken to overtime not once but twice by Conzo Martin's Mo State team that finished dead last in the conference, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were just true. I don't even know if they got 10 wins this year. Twice that team took Drake to overtime. And Missouri, with the season on the line in a quasi-home game, a chance to really wipe the slate clean, just got absolutely just wall-to-wall outplayed. I didn't think anybody played well. I thought 0 people looked ready to play. I thought Dennis Case was completely outcoached. Drake has one way they like to play. Everyone in the nation knew that's how they like to play. And Missouri had absolutely no answers until it was far too late. I don't even really know what to say at this point. I I know people will probably be pretty happy with the way this season went, considering last year. Honestly, the way this one ended, I'm not really in the mood to really talk about all the good they did.
I am sort of in agreement. Like I think, and maybe it's like the recency bias because they have stuck so much at the end of the year versus, before that Alabama game up until that Alabama game. But yeah, like the lingering memory kind of feels like a big old what if, because we were talking about what this team's ceiling could have been. And yeah, I mean, just the game specifically, I mean, not enough adjustments. I mean, we talked about it in kind of, or at least I mentioned it. I know you and Kenny previewed the game more than I did, but even in my little blurb that I gave before the game, I talked about wanting to get like Mark Mitchell involved and like needing to get him the ball. Like I talked about that Oklahoma game. He's 5 points at halftime. Like I didn't think that was, made a point enough. I don't know what you made of the press defense to try and speed Drake up. I didn't think it worked. I don't know really
Did not
what
work
difference.
after the first couple of attempts. I thought it was a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
and it worked a little bit in the run in the second half, but I mean,
it just felt like
Missouri's
every
just
time,
not a good defensive team. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, they suck at it.
Yeah, and a Drake team that, like you said, stayed disciplined on offense, and then you just have things like Bennett starts hitting a one-legged three when it was a 2 or 3 possession game at that point, and you're just like, all right, this is just going to be what it is. I saw someone post this. I guess this, maybe it's a food for thought. I mean, someone said both of these things can be true. Dennis Gates has done an incredible job rebuilding Mizzou hoops and taking the program to the next level. Dennis Gates has consistently fallen short when the lights are brightest and has flaws as a coach. Do you agree with that sentiment? What do you think about that? If any thoughts come to mind there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can confidently say Dennis Gates can recruit. I mean, he's recruiting at a high level. He's bringing in a lot of good transfers. The freshman classes have been pretty highly rated. A couple guys have taken a good step forward. But at the same time, I am starting to really, really question the X's and O's and just the in-game stuff because, I mean, you got to look at it this way. And, I mean, Dennis Gates has been to the tournament 2 out of 3 years, which is great. That's awesome. That's honestly, I think if Missouri is just a program, I think Missouri at a bare minimum needs to be a program that's making the tournament every year. I think this program historically has been that, and I think it should be that at the very least. But he has never played a single-digit seed in the tournament, and he has still found a way to have a losing record. That's not good. I don't really care about the context or anything. I mean, he has lost games to a 15 seed and an 11 seed, and his best tournament win is a 10 seed. In both of the losses, he has just looked thoroughly outcoached. In both games, it was a very clear pace of play clash, and Dennis Gates could not find a way to consistently speed either Princeton or Drake up. Finally, when Missouri was able to speed Drake up a little bit, it was during that big run. Drake was sloppy with the ball. Drake, you could tell, was feeling the pressure. They weren't hitting free throws. That was easily the best run of the game. And then it just, like, Marquez Warwick turns the ball over. T.O. Barrett takes one of the dumbest. I saw someone say that was an okay shot.
No, it was not an okay
that was
shot.
a horrible shot. Horrible. I cannot say how terrible that shot was.
The Tamar one at the end too.
Caleb Grill just takes a terrible 3-pointer. It was terrible at the end. They looked totally, and I'm not going to blame that on Dennis Gates. I don't think he went out there and said, T.O. Barrett, go dribble yourself into trouble and then take a spinning contested jumper that has no prayer of going in when you're not a good jump shot shooter. And Caleb Grill take garbage at the end when it was a 1-point game. 1-point game. I really do wonder what happens if Mitchell makes both of those free throws. I'm not blaming him for that, but that really, the one he missed kind of felt like a really tough one.
Yeah.
But
Then the
look,
kid for Drake hit the one where he threw it right at the rim and it just like boomed
yeah,
off the rim and went in. He's like a 60% shooter. You're like, all right. Yes. Anyway,
I
sorry.
mean,
Yeah.
no, I mean, it's just I have very, and I mean, just the way this season ended, I mean, teams started just running pick and rolls over and over, and Missouri never found a way to counter. They tried to pack the paint, and then Kentucky blazes them from deep. It just they never found a balance. Um, and a lot of this obviously looks worse because Caleb Grill, for as great a season as he had, he was pretty damn bad the last 4 or 5 games. Just could not hit the ocean if he was in a boat. It is just basically what happened. But
Yeah.
I mean, I still I question how do you not find a way to get the ball to Mitchell more? I mean, I cannot believe that they just played right into the way Drake wanted to play that game. They never found a way to consistently speed them up. And that is a lot of that has to be attributed to coaching, I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think the one-dimensional defense stuff has been a continual problem. I mean, do you remember we were talking at like the, start of conference play at certain points of conference where we were like defense is like the upside of this team, and it just it just fell by the wayside. And yeah, adjustments like have failed to have been made. And like, yeah, I have some concern for like, I guess his defensive philosophy, if maybe that's the best word to
And
use for
here's
it.
another thing that I question because it's never been good under Dennis
Bad.
Gates. Just again, they got out rebounded
Yeah.
by Drake. Drake doesn't
How?
that's taller than 6'8". I
Yep.
just it's just I mean, look, Josh played 7 minutes and had 4 boards. I really kind of wonder how we didn't see more Josh Gray in this game. I know it probably look, they were desperate for buckets. Nobody is accusing Josh Gray of being a big offensive stalwart. But I mean, at a certain point, a lot of Drake, it felt like I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it felt like Drake had a lot of second chance points.
It was
And I think maybe, do you have it?
It's loading. Hold on. It took me a minute. I'll get it.
But I mean, either way, it would have just been nice to maybe have someone grab more though. I don't know, man. Like I said in the preview with Kenny, I don't remember the exact score. 8. They had 8 only
off 9-0 boards.
Okay. That's not as much as I thought, honestly.
Sometimes it feels like more though, like the Oklahoma game, there's sometimes when rebounds feel bigger. Yeah.
I mean, but just like I said in the preview with Kenny, I don't remember the exact score I gave, but I said Missouri does not want to be getting into the game late into the game and be in like a 55-53 game is what I said.
Yep.
And what do you know? It was 52-50 late and Missouri could not figure out what to do. I mean, just everybody knew what Drake was coming into this game to try and do. They were going to milk the clock. They were going to slow the pace down. They were going to take all of their shots in the final 5 seconds of the shot clock, and Missouri let them do it all day. They did not have any answer for it. And now we're everyone in the world picked Drake over Missouri in their bracket, and Missouri went out there and proved everyone right. It's a disgusting loss over a team that is in you won at Florida. Okay, you should be able to handle a game against the Drake Bulldogs. I'm not trying to sound so just like we're above Drake or anything like that.
No.
And I
right.
Ben McCollum's a hell of a coach. I think if Iowa doesn't get him, I don't know. I don't think they're serious about basketball. That is a game Missouri with SEC athletes should be able to go out there, dictate how the game is played, dictate the pace. They should have been able to do whatever the hell they wanted in the paint, and they did not do any of it.
Yeah, you're right in the sense of like it'd be one thing if Drake if this was like a 14-3 game and no one saw it coming, and you're like, wow, this guy out of nowhere pulled like a masterclass, but everyone thought it was going to happen going in, and you still let it happen. Like it's one of those things. Like you're right. Like it was a game where it's scheme against size and athleticism, and And yeah, Missouri wasn't able to pull it off. I found a stat. Since 1987, Missouri has made the NCAA tournament 22 times. They've lost to a double-digit seed. This just goes to your point. They've lost to a double-digit seed 6 times since that span. I kind of feel like that's a lot, 6 out of 22 to double-digit seeds. They are allergic to them. So, it's been a problem for a while and continues to be under Dennis Gates. I mean, yeah. One thing I know for sure, Anthony Robinson will be back. He absolutely disappeared in this game. 4 points, 3 turnovers, 5 fouls, fouled out again.
You can kiss that draft hype goodbye.
Yeah.
My God, what a horrible ending for him.
Yeah,
Mitchell, I'm sure, will be back. Jacob Cruz is apparently going to be back. I don't. Favorite. Whatever.
Yeah. I think we save off season talk for I guess it is the off season now, but yeah, just a pretty bad ending. Those were just some of our thoughts. Wanted to kind of get him out there, drag Payton on and force him to vent his frustrations publicly. So Payton, props to you for that. Yeah, this is a tough one. It's going to sting for a while. It should sting for a while. I mean, it's a disappointing outcome too. And otherwise, yeah, you think, I mean, they beat the team that's the number 1 seed in this region, couldn't beat the 11 seed in this region as a mid-major. I mean, you kind of got to think about that and
beat the
think
1
what could have been
at their house, mind you. They're the only team that went to Gainesville and won.
Yep. Long way off from that. Yeah, I don't know, something needs to be studied. I mean, this is obviously going to be, just like the 0-18 resilience stuff was. I mean, this is going to be a test of growth for Dennis Gates, is how he looks back at this and tries to grow from it. That's, I guess, really the only spin I can put on it as an eternal optimist, which I try to be. But yeah, this is a stinger. It'll hurt for a while. We'll have more talk about it, I'm sure. Going forward. Payton, do you have any last things, any last remarks, takeaways from the game?
I mean, look, man, like, I know people are going to be really happy that, like, this team went from 0-18 to what they are now, but I'll be honest, like, as the season goes on, expectations change. And in my opinion, I think this really is more of a disappointment at the end of the year than it is a step in the right direction. I am, obviously we got the portal. We'll see how Mizzou does there. Now that they have, once again, they have something to pitch. They were able to get Mark Mitchell after an 0-18 year. It'd be nice to think they can get better players after a season where you go 22-11, 10-8 in conference. But I don't know. I think that when you look back on this team, you're gonna really think more about what could have been than you're gonna think about the wins over Kansas, wins over Alabama, wins over Florida.
I agree with you. And it's an unfortunate legacy for that team to lead, because it felt like it was going somewhere, but it ends at the hands of the Drake Bulldogs in Wichita, 67-57. We'll have quick hits to like a normal Friday show, because this will be our essentially normal Friday show, as well as the recap. So we'll go to that. But yeah, drop your thoughts, put them in the comments on the YouTube if you're watching. How are you going to remember Mizzou's season? What went wrong in your eyes against Drake? What do you make of Dennis going forward in terms of how he needs to grow from this and try and put Mizzou in a better spot next season? We'll see. That's what we have to look forward to at this point. But yeah, Mizzou season's over. 67-57. They lose to Drake. We will go to a much more lighthearted quick hits to finish out the show. Okay, quick hits time. We'll finish up the show. It's just Ken Dog and I for the quick hits segment, but we've got some quick hits submitted by our dear friend Payton Haverman. Kenny, start with you. Your jersey of the week for quick hits this week.
Yeah, my jersey of the week goes to Cal State Fullerton's Caleb Brown. It's kind of still weird to say, but he's back in the portal. I believe this is the third time now that Caleb Brown has entered the portal. There was one time he entered.
Came back.
Yeah, Dennis Gates brought him back. It was a pretty bad year. And I went to his Twitter because I wanted to see if maybe he had a tweet up about this. His last tweet was him retweeting a portal account, kind of a smaller end portal account. saying that he was still in the market. But that was back last cycle. So he just hasn't been on Twitter. But he's back in the portal. Of course, spent a couple of years at Mizzou, one without his brother. And then this past year at Cal State Fullerton. He averaged 11.8 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3.2 assists.
He averaged 11.8 points per 40 minutes.
I
got fooled by the same thing.
Oh, man. I was going to say that. Those are some good numbers.
Per 40 numbers, they're good. Per 40 is good.
2 years of eligibility remaining is crazy to me.
Yeah, that does not seem right. But yeah, I mean, you still have those players. I do love that the Mizzou logo is on his little, like, you got the going from to going to, and you've got the Titans / Mizzou. I don't really get that. Like, he's transferring from Fullerton. Like, he hasn't played for Mizzou in a year. But you know what? Good for Caleb Brown. I'm sure we'll have a quick hit when he lands wherever he may land with his
back at Mizzou.
Yeah. Got to do some retooling. No, thank you. All right. Payton's jersey of the week is going to go to a bunch of Missouri basketball players, I guess. Couple of Mizzou hoops, more honors for a couple players. Tamar Bates, Caleb Grill, and Mark Mitchell earned all Central Region accolades from the NABC. They do kind of like it's the National Association of Basketball Coaches. They do like a regional kind of team for players all across the country. Kind of cool. You obviously see your traditional like All-Americans and stuff, but good to see all three of them. They all landed on the second team. Mizzou racking up the accolades this postseason. You got the all SEC awards for a couple guys too. So good to see that for Mark Mitchell, Caleb Grill, and Tamar.
I still find it funny that a guy who's off the bench every single game is on a team, like a second team or first team or anything like that, because he's not in the starting five, and now he's in a starting five for his region. Yeah,
you see it happen from time to time, but I feel like definitely not in a power conference as much as like I know some, like sometimes in mid-major conferences. I know one time Payton will be glad he's not on the podcast right now, but Nate Oates had the player of the year at Buffalo, and he was their sixth man. Nick Perkins was his name. That's a fact I've come to learn. So it happens, but yeah, in the SEC, it's crazy that like he's winning, you know, getting on these all teams, even if it is the NABC, like not to detract from the award, but like making these all region teams, getting these recognitions when he is just like, he does come off the bench. But hey, if it works, it works for Mizzou. My jersey of the week, I'm stealing this fully from Kenny. My jersey of the week's going to Ryan Stonehouse. No, not Jack Stonehouse. Ryan Stonehouse, the brother of Jack Stonehouse. He's on the Dolphins. I just kind of thought this was funny. Kenny sent it to Payton and I, and Payton said he's no Jack. I was kind of confused because I saw that message before the above message. But hey, congrats to Ryan Stonehouse. Kenny, this is so bad to me, but is Jack still anywhere in the league? Or do we even know?
Jack was still with Syracuse last year. I think he's probably out of eligibility now.
Oh, yeah. My bad. He isn't gone. That's right.
He got an award, if I'm not mistaken, for the ACC.
I think he did. I think you're right. He got some sort of specialist award.
Check it out. Jack Stonehouse averaged 41.7 yards per punt.
It's pretty good.
Is it?
It's not pretty good. I thought that
he was a redshirt junior in 2024, so he still has one more year of eligibility.
Oh, okay. All right. So he'll be back. I was getting, you know what? I totally got him mixed up with Tucker McCann for a minute in my head. I don't know why. Yeah. I was picturing Titans, and that was for sure Tucker McCann. Anyway, Ryan Stonehouse's brother's on the Dolphins.
Not even his brother. They're cousins. Ryan Stonehouse, very good guy. He helped me with a feature story about Jack when we were in college. Very nice guy when he was with, I got a hold of him when he was with the Titans. Titans, I mean, he was good there for a couple of years. I think this past season, it really didn't work out all that well, but in better weather now, gets to go to Miami.
Welcome to the Dolphins, Ryan Stonehouse. There's one of my worst jerseys
I like
ever. Anyway,
he's the main bird.
Shawnee's main bird of the week, Kenny.
My Shawnee's main bird of the week goes to former Missouri Tiger. When I got kind of dogged when I said that too in an article, I called him a former Missouri wide receiver. I think sometimes people don't realize that there's people who read stories that don't know exactly who Jeremy Maclin is. So I had to give him a title of some sort. But Jeremy Maclin is my main bird of the week. Of course, did play for the Ravens and the Eagles. If you're watching with us on the YouTube, I got to talk to him this past week just for a story on Jacob Eberhardt, who's a Kirkwood athlete. Mizzou's looking at him to play safety. And he told me some fun stories. And I thought one of them that was really cool. LaDamian Washington, he never overlapped with him, but LaDamian Washington is now the wide receivers coach. at Kentucky. You know who else is at Kentucky, Jack?
Someone from Mizzou.
Jamori Macklin, Jeremy's cousin.
Oh, yes.
Who Jeremy coached for 1 year at Kirkwood when he first joined as a wide receivers coach before he took over as the head coach.
Yeah.
So he told me kind of a fun story that LaDainian tells people that if the reason he got to play at Mizzou right away when he got there was because Jeremy left for the NFL early. He was like an early guy to leave for the NFL and opened a door for LaDainian Washington to play, and now he's a college football coach. He's kind of bounced around. He was at Oklahoma for a little bit, Western Kentucky, South Florida, I think is where people remember him a little bit more recently. But SEC wide receiver coach with Bush Hamden, former quarterbacks coach at Mizzou. And I don't think you'd call him an interim OC, but he was calling plays at one point too. So there's a lot of Mizzou connections at Kentucky now.
Oh, that'll make the rivalry interesting. The Unwritten Rule sponsored Mizzou Kentucky football rivalry that I feel like always comes up every year. Yeah, there you go. Shout out Jeremy Macklin. That's a pretty cool Kenny. We couldn't get him on the show. Couldn't get a show invite.
He was very nice. He seems like a very busy guy though. So
yeah, all right.
Maybe one day.
Off season. We'll try our best. Payton's main bird of the week. I think he's just giving it to the CBI, if I'm not mistaken.
There's a lot of parts to this.
Yeah.
Explain the CBI issue first.
Okay, well, I think his main bird he said was because FGCU, the Eagles, are in the CBI. So there's your bird connection. So there was a lot of drama in the world of tournament selection, not for the NCAA tournament. So basically, the CBI is the College Basketball Invitational. It is a postseason tournament. It is not affiliated with the NCAA. More people are probably familiar with the NIT, which does not stand for the Not In Tournament. Don't let anyone fool you that. Everyone as a kid gets fooled by that. Does not stand for that. It is an NCAA affiliated event, which means you get invited to it by the NCAA. The CBI has a buy-in. You got to buy into it. UC Riverside, a school out in California, was going to join the CBI, only they then received an invite to the NIT inexplicably. They were not aware. And actually, they didn't even really receive an invite to the NIT. They were just put in the NIT bracket when it got revealed. And so they were in both tournaments. Now, the NIT realized their error, and they thought that UC Riverside was joining the CBI. There was some miscommunication, and they removed South Alabama from the NIT. And so South Alabama lost its NIT bid. The coach got very upset on Twitter, understandably so. He said, here's what he said, Richie Riley, a meaningless apology to the most meaningful group of players I've ever coached. What they did to us last night is inexcusable. These guys in our locker room don't deserve this, and it's sad. Your idea of making it right is a copy and paste apology. The NIT's apology was pretty bad. It's a pretty bad look for the NCAA because what's now come out with it, UC Riverside's AD spoke about it to CBS and was basically like, yeah, my phone started blowing up with people telling me we were in the NIT. We found out the same way America did when the bracket came out. They were never invited. They had accepted a CBI invite because they were never invited to the NIT. So they were like, we got to get in some postseason tournament. And then, of course, the NIT, it's a little bit more prestigious. It's affiliated with the NCAA. They offered him. They had no idea a bid had been offered to South Alabama. So both schools were just in the dark here. And the NCAA just failed to communicate to either school. And it's just kind of nuts. I feel really bad for South Alabama. UC Riverside also has to pay a buyout to get out of the CBI. So it costs them money. So both schools kind of got a little bit screwed here. And yeah, not a good look from the NCAA, and the NIT really, just rescinding South Alabama's invite was a really bad look. Obviously, like we said, Riley was pretty mad about it. And I know Riverside is pretty mad about it too. They talked. I know the ADs at both schools, so I think they were kind of like a hand up, like no one knew what was going on because the NCAA seems like they just failed to communicate. So crazy situation. And I feel very bad for South Alabama. I feel bad for Riverside. Riverside was a program that their basketball team was on the brink of getting cut a couple of years ago. They won a bunch of games this year, and so it was supposed to be kind of a celebratory moment for them getting into a postseason tournament that then just turned into this whole situation. So, yeah, I believe the CBI fixed its field, and Riverside is going to be in the NIT. But yeah, wild stuff, Kenny. That's my kind of understanding of that whole situation for Payton. Hopefully, I explained it adequately for him. But there you go.
No, I think you definitely did. Explain to me why schools opt out of the NIT bids.
I mean, I think it's usually bigger schools that are just like, we don't want to play in this. For some, I think for some now, I'm kind of assuming here, but I imagine for a lot of Power 5 programs, with the fact that the portal is so big now, when you're in these postseason tournaments, that takes up time that you could probably, frankly, be spending working the transfer portal. I think a lot of Power 5 schools decline the invite, but to be clear, UC Riverside never declined an invite for the NIT. They were never invited, and that's and then they got invited, and so they joined, but they didn't know about the South Alabama situation. So yeah, wild stuff.
A fun field. Oklahoma State is in this. Georgia Tech, Dayton, FAU was a Final Four team a couple years ago. Furman, a good program that was kind of had some fun there too. Last couple years, George Mason, SLU is in this one. New coach there at SLU. SMU, Wichita State. So Ronnie won't be there, and St. Bonaventure making it in. Woj has some fun. Make it to the Garden.
Yeah, no, it becomes a really good tournament, I think, for mid majors. You've obviously got, what is it? I think just SMU and Georgia Tech, from what I can see in there from the high major teams. So
Oklahoma State
should be fun. Oh yeah, and Oklahoma State. Sorry,
Stanford.
And Stanford. I'm just like missing all these.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's the NIT CBI drama. Sorry, South Alabama. That is woefully unfair to you guys, but that's the NCAA's fault. Not a good time there.
When does the NCAA do something right?
Yeah. Good point. My main bird of the week is going to be Darian DeVries, Bird Connection. He was an assistant at Creighton, the Blue Jays. There you are. And I say that because the two schools we're going to talk about here are not Bird schools. But Darian DeVries, after 1 year at West Virginia, he was, of course, at Drake. He was the guy Ben McCollum succeeded at Drake. He went to West Virginia. They barely missed the tournament, perhaps unfairly, if you ask certain people. He's now Indiana's head coach. So Indiana finally filled its coaching vacancy. A lot of names were obviously kind of thrown around there. I think Ben McCollum was even one of them from Drake. Obviously, Dusty May was the big one. He then re-upped with Michigan. But this is a big job. Darian DeVries, only 1 year at West Virginia. Didn't have didn't make the tournament, didn't have the worst season, but pretty wild. They're giving him Indiana's a tough job. I mean, that's a program that obviously has a lot of prestige, but they have been down for a long time and their fans are pretty impatient. So I'm interested to see how he does here, but yeah, exciting hire nonetheless. That's kind of I feel like that was the big job heading into the tournament that needed to be filled. And so there you go. Don't think Dennis Gates was ever mentioned in it. So you didn't have to worry about that, but there you go.
He was going to, Tamar Bates was going to join him on staff.
Yeah.
If he went to Indiana. I think it's fair to just kind of say, I mean, West Virginia got pretty far and, in their own right, might have been an NCAA tournament team at the same time. But I mean, DeVries had to come. I mean, he came in for a reason. Didn't they fire the previous coach at West Virginia?
Yeah, Huggins was.
Bob
really
Huggins was
situation.
Fired this past offseason. So credit to him for kind of what he pulled through after just those issues with the head coaching change.
Yeah, we'll see how he does. Like that kind of top reply says, Indiana hasn't been relevant for a long time, and that's a program that, the fan base isn't going to have very much patience, and they don't have the football NIL money necessarily either, so it makes that kind of a tougher job there. But we'll see. We'll see how DeVries does. But yeah, a lot of good stuff in the coaching world. Best thing Payton learned this week is Mizzou gymnastics news, specifically with Helen Hugh, the redshirt senior. She won her 5th SEC Specialist of the Week award, which is the most by any gymnast that any gymnast has won in a single season. Excuse me. Pretty great accolade for her. Pretty representative accolade for how Missouri has been doing. This is a good excuse to do a gymnastics check-in because they do start the SEC tournament this weekend. They are 4th in the SEC, which is pretty unbelievable considering how good that conference is. One of the best teams in the country, just having an awesome season. 13-4 overall. Helen Hugh, obviously a big part of that. That was the other one. She became the second gymnast in Mizzou history to score 2 perfect 10s. First time since 2004 that's ever been done. So it's just a really good time for Mizzou gymnastics right now. And I know I'll be watching a lot of March Madness, but I definitely will be checking up on how gymnastics will be doing this weekend in the SEC championships. Cause they're a national contender this year, and pretty exciting stuff for them and for Helen Hugh.
Back-to-back gymnastics for Payton quick hits. He talked about Helen on Monday too, talking about those perfect 10s, and I even brought it up then, Jack. It was a couple years ago. I forget if it was at Auburn or UCLA, but there was a woman who had a perfect 10 in the floor routine, and that was just like, whoa, like we haven't seen a 10 in a while. And Helen's had 2 this season, not on the floor routine, but on the beam, and credit to her. I feel like she's a name we've just known for years, just because she's kind of been a staple of this kind of rise for Mizzou gymnastics turnaround.
March 22nd, 7 p.m. By the way, you can watch Mizzou on SEC Network for the gymnastics SEC tournament, and might have to dual screen it with some games. That'll be a good time. Good luck to Mizzou gymnastics in that. Kenny, what did you learn this week?
This week comes from Eli Hoff at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, but SIUE's announcement gets a round of applause from fans inside Mizzou Arena. Payton made a joke. It's like Mizzou fans are remembering this rivalry a little bit more. SIUE has just been a school that just keeps getting brought up. For those that don't know, SIUE will be playing Houston in the first round, and so opportunity there for Houston to thump SIUE.
Whoa! Or an opportunity for SIUE.
Well, I'm saying it from a Payton perspective. He would definitely say that. Payton and I have been talking about SIUE a lot, and then I started getting SIUE ads on my phone, and then I started seeing SIUE ads in person, like on the freeway. I've seen maybe 2 or 3, and I think that's a little bit weird. I also live in St. Louis, Missouri now. So
actually, I was going to say that's not weird.
But I don't think I would have noticed it before. So a lot of SIUE stuff. I will also add my friend who went to the University of Houston sent me the matchup, and he said, "Who the heck is Houston playing?" He had no idea. He had no idea what SIUE stood for.
Yeah, that's Edwardsville is not. I feel like a lot of people from there end up going to Mizzou, and so it's good to see them, and that I think it's their first tournament bid ever. So, that's fun for them. Not fun for who they have to play, but you gotta start somewhere. Maybe this is a program, step in the right direction for SIUE. But yeah, congrats to them, Kenny. Hopefully you keep seeing ads on your phone now that we talked about it again. It hurt
in
you.
person. It's crazy.
My best thing I learned, I was just gonna do the All-American selections. We're disclaimer, recording quick hits also on the Tuesday, and that's when this came out. Just more college hoops headlines. Bennett Sturts of Drake was on the honorable mention list. That's probably the only Mizzou connection you're going to get, other than Caleb Grill robbed. Should have put him on there. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, All-Americans came out. SEC had 3 players on the first team, which is not a surprise. As Walter Clayton Jr. from Florida, Mark Sears from Alabama, and Janai Baroum from Auburn. Braden Smith was also a first teamer, and then Cooper Flagg, future Houston Rocket. Kenny, you guys in the capture the flag race?
No. I don't know if you know. The Rockets are the second best team in the West.
I know the Rockets are good.
My West team is pretty good. My East team is all right. Doing well in the NBA.
Yeah, I always enjoy looking at these, debating them. John Tonje, I'm a big John Tonje fan. He was second team. I wanted to see him over Smith, but didn't do that. But there you go. All-Americans. Kenny, I don't know if you have any All-American takes, but I just thought this was enjoyable to put together. Chucky Hepburn, good to see him from Louisville. Woefully underseeded in the NCAA tournament. So there you go. All-Americans. That's all I have, Kenny. We don't have a joke. I didn't pull up a joke.
I didn't bring a joke either.
Should I pull up a joke?
Jokeless. I think we go jokeless.
I don't think we can go jokeless.
Oh, come on. We can go jokeless. He's not going to watch this.
I don't think we can go jokeless, Kenny, because why was Cinderella bad at soccer?
Her cleats didn't fit.
No, that actually would probably be a better answer. She kept running away from the ball.
Okay, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
I think they could work with a lot of sports.
That comes from goodhousekeeping.com, not our friends at the Today Show.
Okay.
It's the first
also, I mean, if someone that's listening to the show also signed me up, I keep getting emails from that dang, really bad looking email. I showed you guys, it's like joke of the day, and you have to click on the link to find the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was I bet Payton did it unintentionally.
I believe it. Yeah.
I bet
Sounds
Payton
like
to
him.
get rid of a pop-up probably it said enter his email and he just put one in and then it just signed you up. He probably just put the unwritten one in. All right. That'll do it for quick hits and for the show this Friday. We'll be back for another one Monday. So stay tuned. We'll be back with hopefully a whole crew, or we'll keep skeletoning it. Who knows? You know, we go with the flow here on the Unwritten Rules. So enjoy, and we'll see you next time.